And welcome back to the Revival Lounge. With me, of course, is the amazing Sam from Funky Tiger Cards.
Hello.
And myself, Josh, the man behind Collectibles. A very quick, short, brief intro there because I'm very excited about today's episode because it's my favourite subject, which is, of course, the cleaning side of things.
Love it.
And the cool thing about this is this is what gets a lot of people into the hobby. I know it's how you got into the hobby, Sam, wasn't it?
It is indeed.
You sort of discovered the products and then got cleaning, and then it's just sort of snowballed from there. And that's sort of how it happens for a lot of people. And I love that. I always recommend to people, if you do want to jump into this, I loved your analogy of just learning how to drive and jumping into a Ferrari. It's a similar thing with card restoration. Rather than jumping in that Ferrari, start on like a little VW bug and get yourself some cleaning products and go to town. So we are going to talk through the stages and basically the do's, the don'ts, how to perform, what to identify, the usual stuff when it comes to card restoration. So we'll start with, I guess, preparation really. So with anything in life, before you get cleaning, you must prep your workspace and what you've got. So being my little glamorous assistant today and performing all the work, we have Sam, who's got himself ready with some bits and bobs.
Yeah. So basically what I've done on the work surface is I've got a nice little play mat. You know, other brands are available, but Funky Tiger Cards.
Funky Tiger Cards is the best one.
Nice, clean area. So I've given that a wipe down before I started. I have a glove on as well to protect the card from oils. I usually MJ style it, so I can use the tool without the glove and then, you know, move the card with the glove. And then I've got my cotton buds. I know, Josh, you've got some as well, but, you know,
Yes,
little cotton buds there. And I've got some for like edges and not edges, but, you know, close to the edge. I've got the finer ones. And then I've got my mirror coat there in a nice little jug. I've got
Beautiful.
my Experiment 626 for the scratch removals. And I've also got some Dazzling Gleam for those sort of polishing and texture cards as well.
Yeah, so this is it, sort of like just have all of your tools and utensils that you're going into it ready and raring. And of course, once you're prepped, the first stage, decontamination. And wearing a glove certainly helps. I'm sure everyone's done it at some point where you've touched a mirror or a screen or something like that with your bare hand. And no matter how clean your hands are, there is like a oily little residue. Us human beings are disgusting. We're always secreting weird little oils and other bits and bobs. So no matter how clean you think you are, every time you touch that card, you are leaving behind a little bit of grossness. And then that's exactly why the product Mirror Coat was created and invented and designed, was to attack those greases, those grimes. It is made with a purpose of attacking organic matter. And 99% of the time, what you will find on cards is organic matter. Whether it's fingerprints, grossness, grime, baby bell wrappers, it's normally organic matter. Those little black spots are mold. It is a form of mold. More modern cards, you won't find it as much on it because the card has been treated a little bit better. But older cards, it's basically paper that's got mold growing on it. So the first step, like nicely done, Sam, you're just cracking on straight away there.
Just get on.
Yeah. The best method is either do what Sam has done and spray a bit onto a acrylic surface or plastic surface, and then using any form of applicator, soak a little bit up and then target clean is what I normally first do. So go to the spots where you see the grossness and see the grime. If little bits are not coming off, don't keep rubbing and keep attacking. Allow the product to soak in. I've got a pretty cool little science experiment just here. So I'm going to get my glove on for this one.
And that's the point, actually, Josh. Whilst you're
Yes.
prepping there, depending on the card, I was keen to know what you do here. Is there a right or wrong way in how you apply this? Because sometimes I go, you know, all over the card, let it soak in, exactly what you say, and then sort of do targeted bits after that. Or do you just do like a general once over and then see what's left over?
I mean, honestly, it probably would. It's a matter of preference. I like to get like a fair bit on the cotton bud, and then not a fair bit. You always dab a bit and then dab a bit off, just so you've got the smallest amount. Less is more with everything in this. And then I like to go over the dots where you can physically see grossness. And then by the time I've got to that last one, I'll go back to the first one and then start going over it, because that should have hopefully been enough time for it to allow to soak into the grime. Because what I have here is a ball of mud, fresh from the garden, and this is going to represent either a black spot or a bit of organic matter, because that's exactly what it is. But we'll put that into our little beaker here, grab some Mirror Coat and pour that in. So the cool thing about Mirror Coat is it's pH neutral, so there's no acids or anything dangerous in there that won't attack the surface. And already you can see, hopefully, little bubbles starting to attack that little black globule, and bits literally dropping off. Let's see if it
That's
gets
so
in
cool.
focus. There we go. Because what it won't do is it won't just lift it off straight away like an alcohol does.
That's so cool.
And then if we leave that there, but it won't attack inks. There's like minimal alcohol in this. The alcohol that is in Miracoat is such a small percentage, and it's there to literally just help boost the surfactant a little bit and to help it evaporate quicker. But it's not there for the main cleaning purpose. So it won't dissolve any ink surfaces. It won't really dissolve pen or anything like that, dependent on what style. It won't dissolve the actual surface of the card, which is obviously the main thing.
Something I found when I first started cleaning cards, especially on vintage, because it's a more sensitive stock, like we've talked about a couple of times, is you sometimes get like little blisters.
Yes.
And I remember the first time I did that, I was like, oh my God, I've ruined it. Oh my God. And what I found is if you got the revival kit, just clamp it up, between some parchment paper, between a penny sleeve. If as long as it's clean, it'll be fine, and then like you'll come back to it 10 hours later and it'll be absolutely fine. So if you're cleaning cards, you're fine.
Yeah, this is it. So this is why we always say avoid damage and avoid edges, because at the end of the day, underneath that ink surface, it is cardstock, and cardstock is very absorbent. It's very hygroscopic, so it will want to absorb that moisture. And at the end of the day, Miracoat is still a liquid. It will still absorb that. But yes, if it does go in and it does blister a little bit, do not panic. Because I've had it where I've like been cleaning a card and accidentally bumped an edge, and you see it instantly start to lift off. But like you say, in a penny sleeve, in a top loader, whatever, as long as it's pressed back down, once that solution evaporates, it will just look as if it was never there kind of thing. But don't continue to go on and then leave it, or don't try and rub it out with a microfiber or something like that, because you've now made that edge fragile. You might end up either denting it, ripping it off, or making it worse. It is literally a case of put it straight into a press and get it flattened and allow it to dry naturally. But otherwise, it's fine.
Yeah, and it's the exact same thing we talked about snail trails with dents.
Yes.
You put that spot treatment of the card mist on, you let it bubble up, and then you're pressing it back down. It's the exact same thing. You do not then do the massaging it with your tools or whatever.
Exactly.
Can that come through? Can you see how much dirt I got off that already?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
It's minging. It's absolutely
But
great.
this is one of my favourite things because some cards look clean, and then you do this and you've got loads of grossness and like grease and grime and absolute vileness on there, which you didn't realise, which is why it always pays benefit just to give them a wipe over. But as well, I'd just like to go back onto that previous point. It doesn't mean that Miracoat can be used as like a card restoring solution. It's got silicone in there as well, like a very small amount. And if that gets underneath, it will just delaminate the entire surface. That's what, like a lot of it anyway. If a little bit, you're completely fine kind of thing. It will evaporate out, makes it stronger if anything. Yeah. Otherwise, it's such a good product for cleaning cards, because with card sprays, they're obviously alcohol based, and you can't have that on the card surface for too long before it starts degrading and destroying the actual surface. Whereas Miracoat, you can sort of leave that on there for as long as you like, and it will never penetrate the surface unless, of course, it's broken ink layer. But you've got a lot of workability time with it, and that's why it is fun to use, because you don't need to rush. You can just enjoy the cool little process, and that's a key thing with black spot removal. Don't rush it.
And people keep saying to me, they'll start cleaning a car. They go, actually, it's very therapeutic. It is, it is good. And what I'd say to people, and the thing you picked up on it before, Josh, is sometimes it won't go straight away. That's fine. Just let it settle, let it dry out for an hour, then come back to it, do little bits. And some people have sent me cards that have got biro stains on them. And this will say, how'd you get on with that? And I say to people, realistically, you can probably improve it, but you're not going to get all of it. But I've done sort of biro pen treatments over a week, and I've done like 10 minutes a day once, and let it dry out fully, and then sort of go back at it the next day. So it's patience and practice.
It all depends. Like, I've had a lot of people ask me about ink stains recently, and that's something I tell them as well, is that Miracoat can get it off, but it just takes time, because that, like, it is, the more you go at it, at the end of the day, all applicators have some form of abrasion to them, and understanding the abrasion between each applicator is vital, because if you keep going at that card on the same spot for too long, it won't be Miracoat that brings the surface off. It will be, look at all that dirt. It will be the applicator that then has created so much friction on that one area that it has lifted. It's basically like an eraser on pencil kind of thing. The good thing about Miracoat, though, is it has got lubricating properties, so it makes it less likely to happen with using a cotton bud, because I know cotton buds can be quite bad if used without any form of solution. But it is, it's with pen ink, it all depends on...
Sorry, I got a really good bit, got distracted. Sorry.
It's so satisfying.
It's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
with pen ink, it all depends on what the pen ink is made of, because you can have water-based, oil-based, solvent-based. There's so many different varieties of pen ink that it all depends on what it is. And there's different methods and different solutions that you should use for each. Do like you say about Biro? Biro is normally oil-based, so that's quite a good one for Miracoat to be able to slowly, like you say, do 10 minutes a day, if that, like 2 minutes each day. And then it might bring it off a little bit, or it might not touch it. It also depends how long that ink's been there. There's so many variables with pen ink that it is. But it's worth a shot. Definitely worth a shot, because it's hard to do more damage.
Yeah, and what I'd say to people, and it sounds really weird, is I'd practice on bulk and try and break them.
Yes.
And it sounds it's mental, but the first thing I did when I bought your stuff back in, February of last year. Yeah, just over a year, something like that. I went to my local card shop and bought a Hitmon Chan, and basically just wanted to try and break it. I was saying, how much can I push? How much can I scrape? How much can I polish with 626 before I start doing proper damage? And then you sort of know how far you can take a card. That's always a really good tip. People think,
I really
break a
advise
card.
people to do
try
that.
and break it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Try use Miracoat, and 9 times out of 10 it will be the applicator or too much pressure that will ruin it. But the little science experiments, and if I just, you can see
how's your little ball going?
It's all sort of mushy.
Oh,
yeah, completely gone. And the cool thing is, like, if you keep stirring up, it will break down, and then all of the dirt will then go and sit at the bottom, which is what you can see it sort of separating now, which is really cool how it does that.
Also, what I would say as well is, do you still, with the cleaning kits, sell those? I call them the tornado picks, the ones that got the little groove going up.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way I'm using this one, so these are just another bulk equivalent that I've got, just picked up some spares. These are a bit softer, so people will notice if you watch the video back, I'm having to push a bit harder because it gives more.
Yes.
Whereas those tornado picks are great for like flicking those little bits of dirt out, but you wouldn't want to put as much pressure as I'm putting on this one, because this is giving a lot more. So it's just, if people copy what I'm doing, again, just whatever you've got to use, just practice.
A key thing is understanding the applicator that you're using. This is why, like with the solution, less is more, but understand what applicator you are using for it. Because you find like these spongy big ones are pretty useless with Miracoat, trying to get off black spots and things. They just don't really do much, but that's because they're there to absorb solution and use the solution within it, kind of thing. Whereas Miracoat wants to be on that surface, absorbing into it, and then the applicator sort of lifts it off gently.
And this is the thing we talked about.
Wrecked, by the way.
Oh, it's absolutely trashed. I got it for £1, so it's good fodder for a video.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, so you also have the beater as well. I've lost my beater, Josh. I've lost my beater.
So we'll get you one sent out. So many.
I've replaced it with a penny sleeve. So for the Miracoat, I just spray it into a penny sleeve, or onto a penny sleeve rather, and then move that to the side, and then I use that as my little beaker. And I found as well is it stops me like overusing the Miracoat as well.
Yes.
Because sometimes I'll give it a massive dunk and then I'll put too much on.
Well, the beaker is purely sort of novelty factor for everyone watching it. Like it just makes you feel like a little scientist, and that's exactly why I had to include it. And then it's probably one of the most expensive pieces in the kit that I actually buy in, and it's so like because you can just use the lid, to be fair, but it's such an, I don't know, I really like the idea of having a little beaker where it adds to that experience of cleaning cards, which is what it's all about, in my opinion, is experience.
Exactly. And apologies to my school teachers, I did, before we started filming, call it a jug, and Josh very quickly corrected me.
Oh, you mean the beaker?
Yeah, I mean the beaker. Yeah, sorry about that. And again, so where there's whitening in this top crease, I don't want to go too much into it. I'm just working around it. And if this was a customer's card, I'd use under my microscope as well, just to make sure I'm getting everything. But
a microscope is a vital bit of kit if you are doing, especially if you're doing it for resale purposes, or if you're doing it because you are cleaning other like clients' cards. If you're just doing it for binder copies and things, then you don't need to go that far in. But obviously, if you are doing it for grading and things, it's always best to have a microscope. They are a vital bit of kit, and it helps you see things you wouldn't necessarily see with the naked eye. And also, I find when I'm working next to an edge, if I'm doing it under a microscope, it will actually...
It's a lot easier.
Yeah, because you can see how close you are to it, and you almost... It's a really satisfying experience watching it sort of happen on there.
I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera here, but as I said to you before about these little bubbles, just in here And here, I don't know if they're coming up on the video, but I am getting some bobbling coming up now. So that's again where I clamp it up, leave it for a few hours.
Because the thing is, like,
settle back down.
realistically, if you were doing this to grade a card, you wouldn't do it on a card this badly damaged.
Exactly. So I'm completely locked in. I'm
locked in watching you do it, to be fair, man.
It's hard work trying to talk and clean. So I'm just.
But I think that covers the sort of like application side of things. But then there is obviously the wiping side of things, and there are a few don'ts when it comes to wiping off the solution. As we said, it's cool. You can leave Mirror Coat on the card for as long as you like. It won't ever really do much damage to it, and it dries to a gel instead of a salt, which means even if you left it on there for 24 hours and wiped it off, you'd still be able to wipe it off. It's that cool.
That's true.
But when you are wiping, wipe outwards. Don't ever try
100%.
don't try and wipe down the card, because you might catch an edge and bring it in on itself and wreck it completely.
Yeah.
But
you see a lot of people do it online. Sorry, mate. You see a lot of people do it online where they just sort of scrub. It literally, I pin the corners down, and just being a left-handed person, this is just how I do it. It's easier. But sort of get the cloth into my fingers. And there's a reason why I have two different colour cloths. I have your purple one for waxing.
Yes,
and then I have another microfiber for.
This is it. You always want to use clean microfibers, and the ones we include in the kit, they feel thin and they feel almost tacky, but they're not. They're very expensive. And that's because they're lint-free and they're ultra-absorbent. So you always want to make sure you use like a lint-free microfiber, so you don't leave any lint particles on the card when you're wiping it and buffing it. So they're really good they're really grippy, but they're soft enough that when you're removing product, it removes it. It also absorbs it and gets rid of it. And you can mix cloths for different products, but it's preferred not to. So if you are doing Mirror Coat, make sure you have a Mirror Coat cloth. Experience 66 cloth. It just reduces the risk, but it's not that there is much of one, but it just reduces it if there were to be one, kind of thing. It's just how I've personally done it. Those applicators look disgusting.
They're minging.
Yeah,
they're gross. So that's that card. I mean, there is more dirt on there, but I've been over it loads. I want to move on. You don't want to watch me clean the same card over and over again.
I don't know.
Do you want to talk about Experiment 626?
Yes, of course. So once you've decontaminated the card, you've removed all surface, like contaminates, basically things that are off the card, now on the card, you need to remove. So then you get to where you've got a perfectly clean surface. Now we go on to stage 2, which is polishing. This is where there's two ways in which you can polish. It can either be done by using fillers, which is where you add something to the surface to fill in those scratches. But we try to avoid that because obviously that's adding things to the card, which is alteration. It's sort of like adding pen ink to whitening kind of thing, which you shouldn't do.
Oh my lordy. Right, just quick, give me 30 seconds on this, okay? Right. So I was on TikTok this morning. There are people advertising that they can fix whitening, right? Very quickly on whitening.
Right.
You get whitening from damage to cards, so it chips the paint, so the paint has gone and you're left with the card underneath. Or you get fluffy edges from the way that it's been cut. You can tidy up the fluffs on the edge, right? There's ways that I personally don't do it because it's quite risky and you can do more damage to the card.
You can end up pulling out all the fibers.
You can pull more fibers out, yeah. So what some people do is I can fix that, and they'll use a glasses microfiber cloth. So I don't know what they're made of, but the ones,
they're more abrasive. I know they're like really thin.
Yeah. Thin, so that one, basically you go along the edge and you sort of like buff the edge a little bit.
Yeah, it's almost like using sandpaper.
Exactly, it's very, very gentle, very gentle sandpaper. So there's people that can say that, and one of them is Pokey Clean SG, and I went straight back to them. I was like, do not do it. I'll put straight away on my Instagram. We work very hard to build credibility in this space and
wait, what did he
build
do?
That trust.
What did he do?
What did he do?
Yeah.
He's a card restorer. I don't know where he's based, but he's saying that he can fix whitening by colouring the card edges. And it's gradable. Straight away to me, I'm like, what
colour Crayola does he use?
Yeah, I know. But could you imagine having an orange car and then trying to go, there's a chip on that, I'll lob a bit of orange paint on it and no one will tell the difference.
Yeah,
it's mental. But we work very hard to build credibility in this space, and every single customer I have, they say, can you fix this whitening? The answer is no. If it's a slightly buffed edge, you could maybe do something, but it's just not worth the hassle. I don't want to give any more time on it, unless you've got any other thoughts, but it's just
never use pen ink to colour cards, never colour card. Like I was saying, so the aim is not to add things to the card. That comes in a later stage if we are going to do that stage.
Exactly.
But you do not add anything to the card, because that, in my eyes, that's alteration, because you are...
It is.
It's like with a car. If you clean a car, you're just cleaning a car. If you start modifying a car, you're altering it. Like that is,
It's
I don't know
mental.
what else. Yeah, don't color cards, kids. It's not cool. But yeah,
Anyway,
a form of
626.
polish is, yeah, you can either use waxes and oils to add things. So if you're doing, say, like a wooden surface or something like that, use waxes and polishes to go over that, stains and things, because that gets absorbed into the surface, adds to it, and removes bumps and lumps and things. Or you have what 626 is, which is microabrasion, which is really cool on a microscopic level. You basically got to imagine that you've got a crack in a surface. So what you are aiming to do is bring the edges of that crack down whilst polishing it. So the bottom of that crack is the same height as the surrounding area. And that's what you're doing with a polish. You are bringing that area around those scratches down, to meet the bottom of that scratch, so it's no longer a scratch. So this is why if a scratch is too deep, then you will never bring it back. You'll burn through that hollow surface before you get to the bottom of that crack. But if it's just a micro scratch and you bring it down just enough, it will disappear completely as if it was never there. And because you are using the original surface, it's still the original surface and looks the same. It looks shinier because it's flatter. It's like if you've got a piece of glass with loads of like marring over it, it won't shine. But if you have a perfectly flat bit of glass, it shines like beautifully.
Beautiful.
Because the flatter the surface, the shinier it is. And that's basically how polishes work. So we've designed Experiment 626 with cardboard in mind. Quite often...
And something... Oh, sorry, dude.
No,
I was going to say,
absolutely,
when
go
you talk
ahead.
about scratches, mate, so sometimes if you look at a scratch, it hasn't broken the paint. So not always on the hollow, but if you've got a scratch on the back of a card or on the sort of the paper edging or whatever, if it hasn't broken the paint, you can treat it just like a dent.
Yes.
Because you can still, although it's down, you can't 626 and buff it out. You can still treat it like a dent, try and widen the dent out, and then it will suck back up. So sometimes scratches are repairable by treating them like a dent.
Yeah, of course, because what you've done is it's almost, it effectively is still a form of dent if you think about it. It's the surface that's just gone in somewhat, especially if it hasn't gone through and like carved into it and physically removed a small portion of that ink or hollow layer kind of thing. But that's really cool to note, actually, because I've not sort of done that before. So with the back of cards, it actually might be worth just treating it with a restoration method as well as polishing. But yeah, with 626, you can use it on slabs as well. It is built for plastic surfaces, but it won't achieve a greater result than sort of more harsh compounds, because at the end of the day, this is made to be used on cardboard. So it sounds dangerous and it's like, oh, you're removing the surface, but it is very... You can't even think about how microscopically small we're working on here. The layer in which we're polishing is already microscopically small that we can't even fathom it. 66, it does the exact same thing. It is so impossible to think how on a level this is working, that you just sort of let it be, accept it. It does the thing that it do and enjoy it.
Exactly. And another thing to note as well, I know the instructions for 626 is they say like do 3 passes.
Yeah.
I alter that depending on the condition of the card, but also the vintage. So usually on vintage cards, I probably do 2 at a max.
Yeah.
But it's just, again, it's horses for courses. But I say try and break unimportant cards to practice to know what you can get away with.
This is it. It's more modern cards are built different to more vintage cards. Older cards are a little bit more fragile kind of thing. It's sort of, if you did a Topps Chrome card, you could polish that for centuries because you've got such a thick plastic layer over the top. Older cards are a bit more brittle kind of thing, whereas more modern cards, they've got a lot more resilience to them. Same with like texture cards and things. You can polish a texture card because they've got more resilience to them. It's the same with the back of a card. You can polish the back of a card, just very minorly, not for long at all, because you are polishing straight onto that ink surface. I did a post on my Instagram not that long ago of back scratches being removed, and the deeper ones, which are they're not even that deep, you can't remove, but light little bits you can make disappear. So key thing is identifying the kind of scratches you're doing. And do you want to explain what you're doing as well and how you're doing it with the applicator, Sam? 'Cause that was very good technique.
Cool. Right, so the 3 drops onto the hollow surface, and you can do onto the card, but like you say, you've got to be really gentle. On vintage, I don't really see much of a benefit because you're risking more damage to the paint, especially on the back. And when there's whitening, you start rubbing this stuff over whitening. Any polish, you'll take more off than do what you want. What I do is I do really, and I'm holding the applicator almost flat.
Yes,
and I'm just doing gentle little circles to start with, which I did all the way around, and I'm barely putting any pressure on. I'm just letting the 626 do the work. Then what I do is, after I've done the little circles, is I'll change direction. So I've been doing little circles that way. I'll then start doing sort of little lines like this. The reason I do that, in my head it makes sense, is because when you look at a card, you start tilting it all different angles. The light will catch it in different directions, so I want to make sure it's smooth this way, from this way, from that way, from this way, so it looks good.
You are exactly right. 'Cause at the end of the day, you want a flat surface. You don't want a surface that's more like heavier one side than the other. You want to evenly polish the surface. It's what I haven't got them to hand, but I've got those little polishing blocks. They're great for doing on slabs and things because it means you can get perfectly even surface. Because obviously you can only cover a small surface area with polishing swabs, whereas with the polishing blocks you can cover a larger surface area and you're more likely to have a flatter surface over the majority of it.
That's good.
But that's exactly how I do it. I do small little circles to sort of spread out the solution and then backwards and forwards all around the card kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you never need to do it for long. You don't need to go to don't need to spend like 2-3 minutes doing it. It's just sort of anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute, and that'll be enough to wipe off and assess. I always say, do your first pass, see how it comes up. Should you do a second one? Do a second one. Should you do a third one? Do a third one, kind of thing. It's all down to you and how thick. Remember, you are removing that surface. So if you keep polishing for too long, you will break that surface.
Exactly. So what you notice here, so I've given it a wipe off, but also you see you've got these streaks.
Yes, yeah.
Obviously, a grader would pick up on that. So what I do is I wipe off the excess, and then I usually, not microphone, I come back over and do small little circles with the dry part of the cloth, just to make sure I've got all the different bits. And I'm barely touching the surface. I'm not putting any pressure on. Because this is the sort of thing that would rip off hollow after I've just sort of been over that.
So this is the cool thing about 626 is it is made to be easy to remove as well. Like you don't have to put super duper pressure on it. The microfiber will lift it off nicely. Like everything, it's nice to just give it a wee little buff after you've sort of applied it onto there. And look at that.
There we go. Shiny.
This is my favorite thing. Like it looks.
That's great.
Like when I first invented Experiment 66, I remember just trying it for the first time because it was made for sort of plastic surfaces, and I was like, I wonder if it would work on a card. And did it. I did it to a Dark Charizard of all things, and on an Instagram live, and the result, look at that. It blew me away because I was like, okay, this works, and it looks incredible. So that's still to this day one of my favorite things is when people get it, use it, and actually see the results it can achieve. I know I've said this on Instagram as well, is be careful what you use it on because you won't get as great results on sort of vintage Japanese because it's so easy to, any scratch on that surface is normally already too far gone kind of thing. Like the clear coat layer on it is so microscopically thin. There's the Legendary Treasures collection with that Reshiram, that Mew, with like the bobble hollow on it. If you use this on it, it will bring that straight off. Like it's so microscopically thin. And so it's understanding how a card is printed is knowing whether you should polish it or not. Because if it's just a straight holographic like that, perfect candidate to polish. Yeah, if it's one of those Legendary Treasures one, just clean with mirror coat and don't do anything abrasive on it whatsoever. As well, another bit of damage you kind of want to avoid on scratched up hollows is when you see it's sort of like almost webbing. It looks like you'll have loads of scratches and then at one point it will just look like loads of scratches on top of each other kind of thing like that. Avoid that. That's sort of a broken surface. So if you polish that, or polish it very lightly, but more often than not, you'll polish it and when you wipe it away, there'll be a little chunk that's missing from it kind of thing and it would have just burned through. We call that marring. So you got to be careful of severe marring. Light marring is good. That can be brought up easily. It's sort of like oxidization on plastic, if you know what that is. But it looks like that. But it's solvable if it's light. If it's heavy, then avoid because you will do more damage than good. And again, as always, less is more. Don't go to town on using the product. So Sam's just done one pass there. If you were to do another pass, just put one blob on because you've still got polish in that applicator. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say for the back as well. I was going to ask you, can you polish the back of a card?
Yes, yeah. So like,
I've still got some.
Yeah, so that's actually perfect. Rather than actually putting a blob straight onto it, you've still got a little bit held in the applicator. Feel free to just, go over the back very lightly, very quickly, because it won't bring out those deeper dents, but it's worth it because it won't do any more damage and it will bring out lighter dents. It will just make it look just a little bit better. Look at that. So are you going to finish on a Jolteon as well or something?
Jolt Star out.
Yeah.
Whip one of them out. But yeah, so that's 626. Hopefully
this
that
is sort
clears
of where you can kind of stop. So this is like after that you've got pretty much a grade ready card now. Like the surface is removed all the contaminants. You've got a perfectly flat surface. And this is actually because I've heard mixed things. I personally, I polish after I flatten a card. Would you polish before you flatten the card, or?
This is another interesting thing. If you watch other restoration people, they always polish it before. I never do. I always do it at the end. Just for me, that's like the cherry on the cake, you know?
Well, this is what I think, because at the end of the day, if you've got creases and things and you polish the crease, then it's an uneven surface that you're polishing kind of thing. So you're not actually getting the best results. My idea is you get it all as flat as possible and then you do the polishing, because you've got a better surface. The point is you've got that surface to work with rather than not got it to work with, flatten it and then done.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah, I think it probably works either way, but I think the better method, in my opinion, is to polish last. And then you have a grade ready card, you have a perfectly presentable card ready to do with what you want. Unless you want to do stage 3, which is conditioning. And conditioning basically means when you take something and mold it to be what you want it to be. So in our case, we want to make shiny cardboard shinier. A good way to do that is to add waxes to a surface. You do this with anything that's sort of, whether it's paper, card, wood, all kinds of finishes. You add waxes to it where the surface can either absorb it or it cures onto it to give it even more of a flat surface and to just enhance that pop, that shine. So of course, as Sam just teased there, we have got Dazzling Gleam, which I absolutely adore this product so much. It's so much fun to make. It smells so... This is another thing I want to point out. Mirror Coat smells great if you're into Cherry Bakewells and Dr. Pepper, but it won't leave a smell on your card. No matter what you do, your cards won't end up smelling like Mirror Coat. Dazzling Gleam smells friggin' awesome. It smells like candy floss. This will leave a scent on your card. Not enough that your card's like wafting around as you use it kind of thing, but if you did get up right close to it, it does smell really bloody lovely. So sort of disclaimer, I don't recommend using Dazzling Gleam before grading because you are adding something to the surface. However, we've never had a card said that it has been altered after using Dazzling Gleam, and there has been a fair few that have gone through the grading process that have never been picked up. So, I mean, personally, I think you shouldn't, but you can, basically.
I'd agree with that. I've submitted cards that have had Dazzling Gleam on it, and it's been fine.
Yeah,
I think the big thing is wiping away the excess. Take a look at all the light angles, get a good light source, make sure it's completely buffed off. But yeah.
This is it, yeah. So, well, Dazzling Gleam, and you've got a great example of a card there, is it works best on textured cards because that resin surface, Dazzling Gleam loves to cling onto those resin little textured bits.
I'm going to ask you a question, Josh, here, because not everybody will know what you mean. What is a textured card?
A textured card, that's where it has been spot UV'd with resin on the texture to create texture on the surface style of thing. So with this Charmander, you can see.
Well, that worked. No,
it is. I think it's just blurry because internet.
Maybe it's trying to.
But it basically, and the reason card manufacturers do this is because it makes those bits of texture catch the light in different angles, which makes it shinier almost, and just makes it satisfying to look at, because us humans are just a bunch of magpies who like looking at shiny stuff. And what Dazzling Gleam does, once it clings to that texture, when you catch it in the different lights, it will glow just that much more. So the texture has become more defined and just, it's beautiful. I love it so much.
It's good. So I know when we spoke at some of the shows that we did together last year, we have different ways of applying this. And I go back to CCF, old, Combined Cadet Force shoe polish.
Yes,
So I start like huffing on it and then apply it like that, so it's a bit warm. How do you apply it to?
So it normally warmer wax is always better because it is obviously you want it to be. I am still tampering with the formula with each batch that comes out to try and make it more and more usable each time because it is the fundamentals stay the same on it. But I like to use a microfiber myself. Obviously, there is the more mushy one, which I made, the more butter-like one, which you can use a swab on. But with Dazzling Gleam, less is always more. So you don't really need much at all. And it makes it easier to remove when there is less. So I just get a microfiber and like to run it around. That should warm it up enough that you've got like a small little bit on there. And that will be enough to cover the card. Like it all varies on how you want to do it. But you only need such a thin layer for it to do its thing. Because once it smells so good.
It's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a really nice one to work with because it just, that it's ticks all boxes for sensoriness, but it will, because you need to leave it on the card to cure afterwards. Once it's on the card, it starts to oxidize, do all its magical little things that it will need to cure and harden. And once it's done that, you have to buff it off. So the thicker that layer is, doesn't make much of a difference. It just means when you go to remove it, it will be harder to remove, like much harder, because it would have all created a thick globule, almost like glue kind of thing. But when
something I've sorry mate, something I've picked up on as well with using dazzling gleam is, as part of your assessment of a card, check that there's no pre-existing damage where you're going to apply it, because if you're talking about buffing something off, you have to put a reasonable amount of pressure into it
to be able to lift it out.
To be able to lift it off. So just be aware of if there's any creases in that area, you probably should be staying away from it.
Yes, I agree, because when you go to doing that removal of the product, you don't want to just sort of put too much pressure on and have to rip it away. But overall, it does come off still quite nicely. There's enough oils and things in there that it still will want to come off the surface. It doesn't want to completely stick to it, kind of thing. And then what you're left with is just like an absolute glorious, beautiful shine. Yeah. And the cool thing about Dazzling Gleam is once you've done one coat, you can do another, and you can do another, and you can do another. I think the maximum I did on one card was over the span of 21 days. I did 21 coats of Dazzling Gleam on a Rotom card, and you could see your future in that thing. It was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, so if you just want a really nice, if you like shiny cardboard and you really like opening your binder and seeing really shiny cards and a nice smell, then Dazzling Gleam is such a good product to condition cards with, because apparently you can grade with them as well.
It's good. It's a really good product. And I must admit, when I first started, buying collectibles products, I was like, okay, I'll leave that for a minute, because you said in one of your videos, wouldn't advise the grading.
Yes,
but I was like, actually, I want to try it, and I tried it. I was like, I quite like it.
This is the cool thing about it, is that it's our least sold product kind of thing, which I kind of appreciate because it takes the longest to make, but it's there for people who genuinely enjoy the hobby. They don't necessarily do it to grade cards. They do it because they just really enjoy cleaning cards, and then that's the next stage in it, kind of thing. So it elongates the process of cleaning cards, and you get the result from it as well. So even if it's just a little bit shinier, it is just that much shinier that it's noticeable.
So you can just see there, they've sort of got the smear you can see on it. It's hard to tell on the actual Charmander. I've left a little bit on his nose by accident, but that'll buff off. You can just see at the top where I've just got this like layer on there. How long would you say to cure it? Because I usually do sort of 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, I always say leave it up to 10 minutes kind of thing. You could leave it overnight and it'd be fine. The longer, the better. That's all I can say. Okay. It's really hard to just leave it because you just want to wipe it off and see the results. But it is doing its thing. So longer, the better. Between 5 and 10 minutes kind of thing. I normally try to leave them 10 minutes. So at this point, I'd just go on to a next card and go on to the next card kind of thing and just let it do it. Because you can leave it as long as you like, and longer would be better. But obviously, we haven't got...
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you do for 10 minutes? So this is where I go back to my CCF days. So I've got my waxed cloth, so you can see the dried bits in there.
Yes, yeah.
So I always find a clean bit, obviously, wrap around my finger again, so do that. And then I huff on the card a little bit.
To warm it up a little bit. No, I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So just know, if you
on YouTube
sent to Funky Tiger Cards, then more than likely... You're getting a little bit extra than what you paid for.
Been huffed on.
Yeah. But it is really easy to remove. Like, we make it sound like it's super difficult. But
it's dead easy. You feel it catch. You feel it resist a little bit. And I'm still doing the same thing as I did with the Experiment 626 and the mirror coat. Pin the bottom 2 corners and then going away from me.
Yeah.
And then you'll feel it resist, and then you'll feel it sort of go soft.
Yeah, and then super soft and smooth.
Yeah.
And then what I would recommend, I'm not sure if you've got any on you, but after you've wiped it all away, is to use a little buffing pad, which we have. Super inexpensive, super cheap. And
I do, but not here. It's over
no, there. That's right. Because that just, it's sort of like when you buff a waxed floor, you go over it with an actual buffer to just add an extra depth of light. It just ensures what you're doing is that the wax surface you've just applied is, rather than it being lumpy bumpy, it just gives it that final little flatten to the actual wax. It's not mandatory, but it does add just a little bit. And one thing I've learned from everything in life is lots of little things add up to a big thing. So if you do all of these steps and do them all correctly, then you will have the sheeniest, the most shiniest piece of cardboard you could ever imagine, which is words I never thought I'd actually say.
And something as well, just to people, if you're watching me do that, I'm doing it quite quickly, but the motion I'm doing is across, up and back. So although it might look like I'm scrubbing, I'm not scrubbing. I'm going out, up, back, down. You're
Sort
not
of like
going
how
just
you
what.
grate cheese, if anyone's grated cheese before.
Yeah, exactly. What you don't want to do is go off the back of a card and then pull
Bring
backwards
it back
because
and then
you'll
yank
catch
against the
anything.
edge.
Yeah. So I'm just doing that very quickly, but it's up, and out.
Again,
up
why I
and
love
back.
these microfibers is they're really, like I say, they're really grippy, but they're also soft enough that it will bring the product off and it won't look at that shininess.
Shiny. So that's perfect.
And that is a conditioned card. So now you've completed all the steps. You've decontaminated it, you've flattened it, and you've polished it. So you've made the surface as good as possible. And now you've conditioned the surface by adding something to it. You have a perfectly clean, shiny piece of cardboard there.
Black Label.
Oh, that actually looks amazing. The light is
That's so good.
Honestly, if people haven't got Dazzling Gleam, I can strongly recommend, especially if you like shiny cardboard, just do it because it's such a satisfying end result. So, and it's like I say, the smell is just amazing. But I think that covers all the fundamentals of cleaning. I think it's that easy. Everyone should do it. Like
Stay Funky 15, you know?
Yeah. Stay Funky 15. I remember to code that right. 15%
Honestly,
off.
it's one of those things, right? You get into cleaning and you think, why the hell didn't I do this sooner? And you see results almost immediately, which is great. It's sort of it's your gateway drug into restoration as well. It's great.
And this is like there's other brands out there and there's other cleaning products and there's obviously people use card spray. There is nothing like Miracoat, which is what I love so much. There is not card sprays are completely different to Miracoat. And they work, don't get me wrong, you can use them, you can even make them yourself, just literally mix some isopropyl alcohol with water, you got yourself card spray. But Miracoat is so good at cleaning, and because you can use it on slabs, everything else. I'm sorry I'm plugging it so much, but it is like it's such a good way to get into it because it's such a low risk solution. And if you follow everything that we've shown here today, all of the products are designed to be as easy as possible to use so that they're at as low as risk as possible. It's like with other the wax polishes that people have. They're really easy to over polish and remove surfaces and things like that. Whereas Dazzling Gleam is made to be as safe as possible. So the products are super efficient. They work well and are super low risk to make the experience as enjoyable as possible. And then once you're enjoying doing all the cleaning side of things, then you can work your way up to doing the restoration side of things, much like you and I have. And look at us now, we've got a podcast.
Yeah, flying, mate, flying. And this is the thing to say to people as well is if you have other stuff, other kit, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a problem.
I want to shout out
all the
Mint
advice.
Fix Pro. I've seen them pop up out of Mint Fix Pro. They look like really good products. Like there's other people that use them and the polishes looks good. Like I'm not going to bat it. If you're using that, use it. Sorry.
No, so all I was going to say was the tips and tricks and stuff that we talk about, like how to apply it, what to apply, how long for. That's all geared towards this stuff because it's stuff that we know, we love, we use.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to teach you about. So if there's other products that you use, that's great. But you need to work out how to get the best out of those products, not this stuff, right?
Yes.
So what I don't want to hear then is people, saying, I've ruined my baby China, my shiny Chimander, the baby shiny. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Words.
The baby China shaman.
The baby China.
Yeah.
Sound like Trump.
Yeah.
Christ. Yeah. The baby Charmander. I don't want to see people like ruining their cars because they've not followed the instructions of the stuff they're using. This is all geared towards Miracoat, Experiment 66, Dazzling Gleam, Card Mist. It's all stuff that we've tried, tested, perfected, and we're trying to teach you guys about it.
Exactly that. And it all works. Otherwise, we wouldn't use it. Like I stand by it all.
Exactly.
But yeah, that covers everything. I feel like I've plugged myself more than usual and I don't like it.
I feel dirty.
Yeah, but buy it. But no, thank you so much for joining us on this cleaning adventure today. Sam, thank you so much for this, as always, and
Cheers
being
for
the
having me, mate.
perfect, glamorous little assistant. You've created some absolute beauty today. We'll see you on the next one, I suppose. Yeah, like and subscribe. Stay real, stay cool. Love to you all, and
Stay funky.
yeah!